standards, submitted them to UNBS for approval, and that is why I'm saying we have over and over again requested them, sent them reminders to have these standards approved. So until these standards are approved, we can't do much as the gaming board. What we are confiscating is for the illegals. For the substandards, we can't do much until we have these standards in place. And maybe, Honorable Chair, if you can support us in having UNBS fast track these standards so that we protect the citizens. We accept that these machines are everywhere, like I mentioned, across the country. We are understaffed. We are very few on the ground. We are waiting for these standards to be approved. Until they are approved, honorable members, we can't do much. I beg to submit.
So are you trying to say, only the last one, are you trying to say that those ones who have been, whose gadgets have, so they are only pending licensing? No, destruction. Or destruction because of illegal operation?
They are headed for destruction, honorable.
Because of illegal operation?
Yes, honorable.
Honorable
to come in the country. So can you be clear to us, do you have issues with UNBS in their operations as far as these illegal things are concerned or these standards are concerned? So that we know that on your part you have done your part, another entity is not doing its part.
Honorable, I don't think as an entity we have an issue with UNBS. What
these Chinese machines, if they register with them, they are legal. If they don't register with them, they become illegal. Let them first answer that.
I think generally that's what we have captured. The illegal ones have not registered with them. They've not been licensed. Fee, we have no problem. Go and operate. But there's many out there that are substandard, and there's no way to regulate them because the standards are not in place. That's the issue.
Now my question comes in. You mean all those machines which are there are registered?
Okay, Honorable.
If they are registered, can you avail us with the list?
For Nakasongola?
Yes, for Nakasongola specifically.
Honorable Siwamala?
Honorable.
Very important point. First and foremost, UNBS does not have the capacity to have a laboratory to test and agree to those standards. And I'm sure the CEO knows that. Even actually, when URA was looking for somebody for a software that could manage their digital tax from MTN and the rest, they had to bring in a company from, I think, Germany or somewhere. UNBS does not have that standard. What is happening is this. If we have a substandard machine, that means Ugandans are being cheated every day for their money. Because somebody will get their 10,000, they put it in the machine, it eats it because the software that is on the machine is calibrated in such a way that it will not give results. Then tomorrow he brings their 20,000, it will also be taken because the software is wrong and it has not been tested and proven. So what we need to do actually is to stop the betting business in those for as long as we don't have the standards and the software is not approved. Otherwise, people are just being cheated. Until you get the standards, until you get the software approved, that is when we can still bet. Otherwise, Ugandans are just being cheated without what? Because the software is wrong. Actually, it would be UCCO to stop any betting in Uganda for the time being until the softwares are approved.
Okay, I saw the CEO wanted to respond.
Thank you, Honorable. At the moment known world over. And we, in 2018, did a pre-qualification of these independent laboratories. And when they set shop here, like I explained, that's why they told us the standards earlier adopted in 2017, which were the SANS standard, the South African national standards. We are speaking to the South African law. The reason we had to come in and change the standards, submit them to UNBS for approval, working with the consultants together with UNBS. So who is going to test these machines? It is not UNBS, because they don't have the capacity. The law provides us pre-qualifying independent laboratories that have the required ISO certification.
Where are the laboratories? Where are those laboratories? What is the list of, where are they in Uganda?
We don't have them in Uganda.
So somebody in Chanamkaka should go to South Africa to test their machine.
Let me allow me, Honorable Chair, to clarify on how the testing is done. Testing is two-way, Honorable Chair. The first testing is done at the manufacturer level,
which you have no control over.
I'm coming, Chair. When a manufacturer of gaming equipment manufactures equipment, he submits them to a testing laboratory. These testing laboratories are known, they are not many. We've done our benchmark, we know these testing laboratories. Immediately after testing, they then take them to the jurisdiction where they want these machines to operate. What they give them is a certification. Now, what are they testing? They are testing both the software and the hardware. When they test the software, there is what we call in IT as a hash signature. It's a computer-generated signature. So when they submit that certificate, it has that hash signature. What ordinarily we'll be doing as a gaming board, using testing tools again, is to check if that hash signature, if I run a test on that software, I am supposed to get that hash signature. If I run it and I detect that the hash signature has changed, that means the software has been altered. What does that mean? You have to resubject that software running on that machine for a retest. So it is the process we will be going through. So there is a testing, which is at manufacturer level. There is a verification, which is at a jurisdiction level.
Do you do the testing at the jurisdiction level?
Honorable, this is what I was explaining.
No, I'm saying, have you done any testing at jurisdiction?
At the moment, we can't test because...
So that means it is very easy for somebody to come and alter.
Because now I need to hear some answers. There's something you're about to respond to. At the moment, you can't test because?
We can't test because, one, UNBS has not approved these standards, so we'll be testing. We don't have the basis to test.
So that's the crux of the matter.
In conclusion, we have
Mr. Chairman, when
we have people doing this business, and you're not able to test to be sure the standards are what is requisite for you as far as you're concerned. What is legal is they have registered with you, they have paid their license. A bigger concern now is the standards which you're saying have not been approved. Because these machines are all over the place. We are not sure. They must be cheating many Ugandans. People go there excited, I'm going to get rich. They come out poorer. Meanwhile, some Chinese or whoever, the investor, is becoming richer. So that's why people are saying now, what exactly are you regulating beyond just the licensing? Because somebody who can pay gets licensed, yeah? But how do we deal with the question of the standards? Because that's very important to us. On your part, you're saying you submitted this to UNBS. How long ago?
Chair, I don't have the specific date, but this was in 2021.
2021. So up until now, there's been back and forth.
Yeah.
Have you escalated this issue to, I don't know, your supervising ministry, for example, in consultation with the board? Because potentially you could be harming Ugandans more than you are doing anything else.
Honorable Chair, on file I have a letter dated 5th June, which...
Because you see, this industry cannot continue to operate this way. It is minting money for whoever the investors are and wherever they come from, to the detriment of the people of Uganda who go there, they insert their money, keep putting money, hoping that things are going to get better for them, and they will not, because this investor has, you know, worked this out in such a way that he's going to keep making money off of these people. The controls that are meant to protect that Ugandan who is interested in gambling, sadly for them already, there's no control. You who is meant to make sure the controls are in place, you're saying your hands are tied. Why are we continuing with this industry, in your view? Aside from the little money we are getting from them through licensing, and then they are making a lot more from our economy. It's a challenge. So have you people engaged your minister?
Chair, Honorable Chair, we haven't.
In charge of your entity engages the minister in charge of UNBS, who is the one for trade, and at that level they fix this issue. Because at your level, you cannot compel that ED to approve the standards. Are you able to? No. So are you doing your work?
Chair,
people out there are being ripped off, they are becoming poorer, because gambling alone in itself has issues. But now you're gambling where the standards are not in place. There is no guarantee that you're going to get anything out of that, yeah? It's a huge issue. Let's move to 1.1. You're not on microphone.
Chair, through your chair. The one who is acting.
Let's see how we take that matter up somehow. Honorable Chidia,
Yes.
your issue.
Thank you, Chair. No, my issue. Okay.
The question I earlier known before, because we wanted to understand what has been happening to these confiscated items.
Well, they tell us what they said is that those items are still in their stores. We'll just
amended to include to seize, confiscate unlicensed equipment or devices. So that is our power. Now, after we have confiscated the unlicensed equipment, that is why we seek a court order to destroy, because we do not have the power to destroy. Thank you, Chair.
Yours is just to confiscate.
Yes, so that's why we seek a court order to destroy. And so the previous years, we actually did destroy about 500 machines at Nakasongola. That was 2020.
Yes, Honorable Itungo, then Honorable.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, mine is just a quick one. In your enforcement and the confiscation, where is police in this?
Police commanders, and it is those letters that our enforcement officers use when they go to police stations that have the jurisdiction where the operation is happening. So all our enforcement activities are done together with the police.
Okay.
Chair, I wanted to refer on machines, because we are looking at efficiency, not only focusing on the machines, but they must license equally operators, the managers, these people who handle money, those who handle repair. Now, guide us through what has been done. Do you actually license these operators, or you only license places? And you have a record of that, the operators, the managers, the people who handle money, because that's where the cheating happens, and even those who handle repair.
Thank you, Honorable. Allow me request our head legal to respond to that and give the process that we go through in licensing up to the key employee.
Anyone who repairs any gaming equipment. Also, the regulations, the licensing regulations of 2017 provide for licensing 4 key employees. Those are the CEOs of these gaming houses, the CFOs, that is Chief Finance Officer, Chief Operating Officer, and any manager in any premise.
Actually, my concern was that that is the position of the law. Is it your submission on record that any casino I land on or gaming house has a licensed manager, a licensed, and whoever handles money is licensed by you?
Yes.
No, that's not possible, because earlier on your CEO told us you people have only 5
for licensing. We license the company. They submit their list of premises. They are inspected and approved or rejected. They submit their list of key employees. and they are licensed. So we start with a principal license, premises, and the key employees.
Chair, I beg to inquire whether there is any qualification for the person who handles the money in terms of your licensing, when you are licensing those employees, being that now it is provided for by the Act. Or whoever they present is licensed.
Not everyone who is presented is licensed. In fact, we do have evidence of those who have been rejected. Now, one of the requirements we ask for is a certificate of no criminal record from the Directorate of Interpol and International Relations. So because they have to screen their employees, because anyone touching money, there are also issues of money laundering as well as cheating the public.
Okay. But ultimately, because those you license are those that are coming to you and so on. But there's operators out there whom you don't know, and since you're enforced, because if you're saying you have we meet many young people that reach out to us crying, you see, now my school fees I was going to pay, now I don't have it because they took it to a betting machine. I don't know, money that was meant for rent and all these different things, they took it betting, and these substandard things chew the money. Yeah, so it's a challenge. But I'd like that we move. We have exhausted it, Honorable.
I wanted to ask, there is a company down here called Fortebet. As you are going to come, I tried to talk to them. They have over 832 premises. I don't know whether I'm with you. They said they have over 800 premises. And I wanted to inquire, are all those machines, premises, and everything inspected and licensed? And all the people that are moving money there and everything?
About 500 premises.
They said 832.
Honorable, it is self-declaration that when you apply and present the number of premises. Then within our mandate, the inspectors who are in the compliance function and those that are in the enforcement during their operations may or will capture those that are undeclared. But the ones that are declared...
So it is possible that some of the premises of Fortebet are not declared?
If they told you 800 and we have 500 on record, the answer is yes.
Okay, are the 500 all licensed? Their machines are checked and everything, and the employees and everything? Inspected and licensed and everything, as per your mandate?
With respect to employees, like I mentioned, under Section 31, it is certain casino employees. So Fortebet operates betting and slot machines. So the requirement for licensing employees is only limited to the 4 that I had mentioned. That is the CEO, the CFO, the COO, and the manager of premises. So each premise they've declared that has a manager, we license that person. But the person for conducting gaming or moving money or chips is within only a casino, and that is under Section 31.
For the gamings, you only license the equipment?
Yes.
So I just have to get a corner, put an equipment, and I'm licensed. Plus you license the premise and the equipment. Like the
CEO had explained, we first...
Why I'm saying this is you find that every corner of Kampala, you find those people. So how are you licensing every corner? You find them 2 down here, 3 there, a city house near DP house. There are like 8 everywhere. How do you license all those premises? Do you license one place? Because you find that one is in this corner and the other is in the other corner. Then, like at City Complex, what is it? City something complex. I see there like 9 machines around there.
So, Honorable, we only license premises where gaming is taking place within the premise, not outside. So the ones you might have seen outside are actually the illegal ones. Those are the ones we go out and seize and confiscate the equipment. Like we have explained, we are underfunded as well as understaffed, and we are thin on ground. So we do not yet have regional offices and presence to be able to confiscate all that are illegal.
Okay, let's move to Uganda receipts. Part of the money that you say you didn't get was 10 million for fuel, lubricants, and oils. That's for the team that was meant to go out there, and this was fuel for inspectors. 10 million. So you're saying because you got a slightly less amount than that which you had hoped to get from government of Uganda, this money was not availed. I'm thinking this is 10 million. Why did you not cut off from wherever else? Because this is important, because that would mean your inspectors didn't go out there because they didn't have fuel. But there was money for all these different things, allowances for this, that, and the other. But then inspection doesn't happen because there is no 10 million for the fuel. It's not making sense. So respond to both of these, NTR and then this issue.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Let me request my head finance to take that on.
However, according to URA records, they showed that they had collected under our team 2.9 billion. So we wrote to them that we are seeing a higher figure according to our records. And a reconciliation was done, and we actually found out that the actual collection that was done was 3.7 billion of NTR. So the performance was 97% actually. And we've submitted evidence of those correspondences with the URA, and they acknowledge in their letter. If I can read it verbatim, and the letter with URA on Annex A. In Annex A. The letter from URA, you've spotted it?
Chair.
So URA says we have established that collections totaling to 829 million of the uncaptured payments in your data was reported under the parent tax name, Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development. So it was a reconciliation issue. Some taxpayers, because you see this was the first time we were operating as a vote, and taxpayers, these operators, formerly were paying under the Ministry of Finance TIN number. So some of them continued actually to remit non-tax revenue to the Ministry of Finance TIN. That's why you see that 829 shortfall was reflected as underperformance. But actually we performed 97%.
Honorable Nangoli?
Thank you, Chair. Chair, we see the 2.9, the difference. What's the difference? Because now here in the financial statements here, you are talking about, when you go to appropriation, you are talking about NTR was captured at 3 billion and 62 million. So which are you referring to? Because the three things are not reconciling, much as you have this letter from URA.
Okay. I will explain that. We submitted a figure of 3.8 billion, that is the one that you see in column 3, to URA, and said, according to our records, 2.9 billion was paid under your TIN number, and then 829 million was paid under Ministry of Finance. Then URA also said there's some data that has been reported twice of 41 million. So that was the reconciliation there. Now, when you go to the statement of appropriation, that 3 billion that we reported, it includes 2.9 billion, which was reported under our TIN number, because we couldn't report anything that wasn't collected under our TIN number. So there's a 2.9 billion that was reported under our TIN number, and then receivables, which remained outstanding of 97 million. That gives you the 3 billion 62 million.
Okay, on the issue of the shortfalls, I was concerned about this 10 million fuel for.
So this was workshops, and the item lines are shown there in our response.
How is that so? And yet you had budgeted for it.
Okay.
That's
that
totaling
is,
778 million.
Yes. Chair, that's underutilization. During financial 2021-22,
collection is totaling to Uganda shillings 829,950 of the uncaptured payments. In your data was reported under the parent tax name, Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Affairs, as per the attached. Now here, you collected 3.8, not so? No, we are still on the same issue. Huh? We are still on the same issue.
Which issue are you drawing our attention to, Honorable?
This one here.
Which one?
You are a. No, but if I have not got something, I have a right to ask Honorable.
Okay, is there something that you hadn't picked? Because you see...
Yes, there's something that's not. You will get a difference of 731 million, which I expected to be captured in the letter from URA. That is my great concern. I need...
Honorable, on that 700, add 97 million, which was arrears, receivables, amounts of fees that were not collected by the end of the year. And that will tie up to the 800 that you are looking for. We have that's why we are here, Honorable.
Okay. So you were talking to us about the unutilized funds.
on wage, the amounts that were not utilized were amounts for inspection. And this was because the sector was under lockdown in the first quarter of that financial year. So we couldn't send out compliance officers, we couldn't send out enforcement officers. The sector was on, it was one of the last to be opened. Maybe the last, of course, was the discos, but the cinemas and casinos and gaming premises were only opened in October 2021. So first quarter we didn't work. Then there were some people who were supposed to go for training. There were travel restrictions. They couldn't travel. Monitoring and evaluation, of course, couldn't have taken place. Internal audit was one of the affected. They couldn't move when the premises were closed. Even maintenance of vehicles, the amount was lower because anyway, the vehicles were not moving, so we didn't utilize this amount. I beg to submit, Chair.
Okay. If there be no other issue raised there, then we proceed to 1.3. 1.3 has the litany of issues that was set by you people. When you see number 5, investigations into illegal gaming activities undertaken and reports prepared and submitted, which reports are these submitted to who? Are we on the same page? Page 8 of the audit report.
Chair, guidance, Chair.
Yes, Honorable.
Thank you, Chair. So when you look at this 1.3, it's about, it's a content used to measure performance are appropriate and facilitate accurate assessment of performance. Be as it may be, I think, Chair, we just need a commitment from management that they will be really aligning their performance indicators with targets which are quantifiable. I would beg through you, Chair, that once we get that commitment, we move to our next point. Because when you look at it, the Chair has to rule.
Okay, certainly we can get that commitment. It's important. But there are specific issues that we also want them to address. For example, this report of investigations into illegal gaming activities.
Year in question 21-22 is the very first year we attained the vote status. And there has been continuous improvement through us working with NPA to ensure that we capture our key outputs and action plans and interventions, and we commit that this is work in progress, and there is quite some improvement. And like the Honorable requested for a commitment, through which I want to commit that this is something we are looking at and ensuring that we implement. Thank you, Chair. And let me ask Head Legal to respond on the reports of enforcement.
Thank you very much, Chair. In respect, since it had been the first time to use performance indicators, however, going forward, we are committed to properly setting our targets so that we can have performance management improved.
You said you submit these reports where?
To management.
To management?
Yes, please.
And what action gets taken?
Honorable, these reports are generated by the field officers, submitted to management with specific recommendations, and as management, we do act on those recommendations from the field officers.
But you know your voice, I don't know, you keep whispering and whispering to yourself.
Specific recommendations upon which management takes decisions on the recommendations from the officers.
Honorable Mwanda.
Chair, in reference to 1.3, and I want to quote the Auditor General, where he quoted Regulation 11, 2B of the Public Finance Management Act 2016. Apart from us saying that we get a commitment from this team, I beg to disagree. The language of the regulation, and as thus the language of the law is that the vote shall indicate the key performance indicators. It is instructive. It is not optional. It is not discretional. The language of the law and the regulation is you are supposed. So merely making a narrative that we commit does not suffice to service a requirement of the law. The position of the law is you failed, possibly intentionally. I looked at the response from your management on page 11. The explanation of the accounting officer, Chair, was that the accounting officer explained that this was the first time to develop indicators. Are you competent? This cannot be an accounting explanation. On page 11, this is what the Auditor General is quoting, that your answer was that this was the first time. But I'm more inclined to inquire from the legal person. Noticing that what you do is bordering illegality and the public is suffering, especially indigenous Ugandans. You don't have indicators, for example, for legal advisory. I beg Chair through you to request that the legal head gives this committee copies of the few advice she has prepared in reference to some of these contentious issues we have raised here, especially confiscation. And two, there are even no efforts to focus on arbitration. You are aware you don't have enabling law on the technical competence of machinery, for example. But you're also aware people are importing. I saw your accounting officer trying to accuse China as a country and imported software here, imported software, where I beg to disagree. Much as I agree that there might be some from China and other countries which are substandard. But I saw part of his earlier submission was tagging Chinese software and assembling in Uganda, which is practically and traditionally wrong to assume that whatever is imported and assembled here would be wrong, especially that we don't have the technical guidelines. Now, coming to performance indicators,
Honorable, you seem to be taking us.
It is being quoted here
Honorable,
that there are even no efforts on arbitration.
But I called you, should have responded and then listen to my guidance. I wanted us to go slowly. You're wrapping things and you're confusing even myself.
Because the law is instructive, it is not optional. They cannot just come and say, okay, we commit. When the regulation requires the law is clear, it is instructive. The Public Finance Management Regulation 2016 is instructive. The language of the law is shall. You must give us reasons, tangible reasons why you failed.
Chair.
Yes, Romo Michael.
Chair.
Confirmed, Honorable Chair, we got into engagements with NPA that supported us in ensuring we align these indicators to the NDP3 under the programs that we are contributing to. Thank you, Honorable
So
Chair.
ultimately, the indicators have got to make sense. You know, if ultimately we are driving to value for money, everything has got to make sense. So if you're saying this is what was done, how do we check to be sure this was done right? Those are the indicators that are being credited. 14 and 15 is talking about one contract, committee meetings held, 15 contracts managed. How many contracts have you awarded from that time to date, from this financial year we're talking about to date?
Chair, we don't have that on record at the moment, but we can avail this.
Those you can remember.
Chair, I can't commit on that.
That's what I'm asking about.
If you can come again, Honorable Chair.
What do you remember?
On this, you need a specific contract?
Talk to me about the contracts you have awarded. Those 4 or 5 you're saying.
We've awarded a contract for the warehouse. We've awarded a contract for medical insurance. Some consultancies and welfare. Those are the meals for the staff. Those are some I can mention, but if you allow me, Chair, this is a list we have and we can generate.
And you guys follow procurement regulations in awarding these contracts?
We do, Honorable Chair.
I had somebody talk about vehicles. What do you mean?
So you have only one?
Our procurement function then was at the Ministry of Finance.
You could be having some names of it. Do you how many companies do you hire from? How many were pre-qualified?
I think there are about three companies.
Only? For vehicle hire?
Yeah.
For 2 years?
Yes.
How often do you hire?
I think about once.
Of outputs and activities, and there were gaps here. What happened? Talk to us about what happened here. Some were not implemented at all, some were partially implemented.
Thank you, Chair. This is similar to the last one, where some field activities were not implemented, others were partially implemented because of the lockdown in the sector in the first quarter of 21-22. Thank you, Chair.
Come again?
This was in relation to some activities which were not undertaken due to the lockdown in the first quarter of 21-22. I have a schedule of those activities that were not undertaken because of the lockdown. Awareness activities was not undertaken, internal audit activities, and some maintenance of vehicles. So these are some of the activities that were not undertaken.
You want to submit that?
Yes.
Okay, we'll study this and see how to get back. Let's move to 1.5.
1.5, Chair, is about non-allocation of IPFs.
Hmm?
The auditor general rightly noted that we were not allocated IPFs in the budget circular call in financial year 2021-22. And this was because this was the first time the entity was operating as a vote. The grant of vote status was communicated by PSST in December 2020. That was after the first budget circular call had been issued. Because usually the first budget circular call is issued around September, so naturally we couldn't be in the budget circular call because they hadn't yet awarded us a vote status. And the communication from PSST is there in Annex D from PSST. And then the accounting officer of the Ministry of Finance, which was the parent ministry, later communicated transferring our IPFs allocations to us. So we didn't have IPFs, but that was because it was a transition year. That was the cause.
Okay. Anything on that, colleagues? Not in tandem. There are inconsistencies between your annual work plan and the forecasted draft strategic plan funding requirements. So it leads to distortions.
Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Okay, anything, colleagues? Okay, let's move to 1.7. Accuracy of the reported expenditure and achieved targets. And we relate that to the financial statements as well.
Okay, thank you, Chair. There were some inconsistencies as observed by the auditor. The first one was the inconsistency of the reported performance in NTR of 5.6 billion. At the time of preparation of the quarter 4 report, the PBS report, we used the URA figure of 5.6 billion. That's what URA had communicated. We have a URA communication. That was in July, before the reconciliation. They communicated 5.6 billion, and that's what we reported in the PBS. But after reconciliation, the amount came to 3.3 billion. Yes, 3.7 in totality, but some was reported under Ministry of Finance. Then about the illegal gaming equipment confiscated, the Q4 report indicated 788 gaming equipment confiscated countrywide, whereas the audit team verified 1,124. This was because the Q4 report was only reporting Q4 figures, whereas the amount verified was for the whole financial year. Then there are some small differences. For example, 229 million versus 228 million. We have discovered that there is need for synchronization between the reporting system of PBS and the IFMS. Sometimes they do not speak the same language.
Yeah.
Yes or no?
On this one, Chair, I would like to get it from our auditor, in the Q4 report. Because what the team from the gaming board is saying is that they were comparing the quarter 4 with the whole year. So why would the auditor compare mangoes with oranges? We would like to get it from them what exactly this means, because it has a big implication.
Yes, auditors. A microphone.
Cumulative figures were differing with what was being reported in the financial statement. That's why we are raising the issue, and that's why he's trying to explain what caused the differences. I submit.
Now, on your financial statements, page 32, the document I have, I don't know what page it is on yours. In the column for outstanding commitments at beginning of year, July 1st, 2021, there was no commitment. Somehow, as we kept moving along the way, there were adjustments. 146 million, 146 million, 207 million.
In the financial statements, there are even no comparatives because the previous year we were operating under the parent ministry, Ministry of Finance. So naturally, we couldn't have outstanding commitments at the beginning. And that's why in that column 3, we made adjustments to capture the commitments, the gratuity commitments from, otherwise they would not have been paid, these people, their gratuity. So we made that adjustment to capture the gratuity from coming from behind. But we couldn't have an opening balance because we hadn't operated as a vote in the previous financial year. Thank you, Chair.
Again, and this is not numbered, this is a verified schedule of gratuity accrued for financial year 2021-2022 because it's part of those figures. I'm looking at a list here of 38. A list of your staff provided before shows 36. This one here is showing 38. Explain to us that disparity. But also, I'm seeing the name of the CEO, Mudene Dennis Ngabirano. There's a figure there. I see monthly salary, 9 million. Then right below that, 13 million. What's this about? Is this the different offices you occupy? Mr. CEO.
Yes, Chair, allow me request Head Finance to clarify that issue.
So, yes, Chair, as you have rightly noted, at the end of the year, I had 2 contracts in that financial year. That was the time he was elevated from manager IT to to head strategy. So we have captured the gratuity accruing as a manager IT and then the gratuity accruing as head strategy. But also the other difference came from number 4, Miss Juliet Namuli. This was the former head strategy and acting CEO. She resigned during the financial year. So we have 36 at the end of the period, but our gratuity schedule shows 38. Your observation is right, Chair.
Okay, so does this mean that Mr. Mudene was earning 2 salaries?
No, this was gratuity, but gratuity is captured as a percentage of someone's salary. So we captured that gratuity accruing to him when he was still manager IT, and then we captured the gratuity accruing to him when he assumed the position of head strategy. Because the base is different, we calculate it differently. This is what caused the difference. Not that he earns 2 salaries.
So, Mr. Mudene, you earn a salary as what now? Because you are substantively head of strategy, then acting CEO?
Honorable Chair, I earn my salary as head strategy and corporate affairs and an allowance for acting. And an allowance for acting.
An allowance for acting, CEO?
Yes, Honorable Chair.
But your head finance seems to indicate you transitioned from one salary to another.
Yes, because the IT level has its salary structure and the head has a different salary structure.
Oh, that was from Manager IT
to head corporate affairs.
To head corporate affairs. So that is what is captured here. Hmm?
Yes. So number two is when he was manager IT. And then number 3 is the salary for head strategy.
Okay. Any query, any other question on that, colleagues? Okay. Let's talk about staffing. Are there any that, so apart from, this is who? Namoli, you said?
Yes.
Is the one that left, when was this, 2020?
Yes.
There is no other staff that has left since then?
There are some that have left, and there are some replacements that have been made.
Who are those? Who is your head HR?
We do not have an HR officer. I'm the head of that directorate, Chair.
Okay, so you had a finance and, okay.
Yeah, finance and administration.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there are some who were recruited since then, since 2021. We brought on board an HR officer who worked for 4 months. She worked for 4 months, and because of the rationalization scare, I think she was testing the waters. She went back to her former place of work. We brought on, there is a compliance officer who left. We replaced her. We replaced Mr. Mudene from the position of manager IT. We brought on board an IT manager, Mr. Ainebiona, and we brought on board a front desk officer.
Mm. How were these people hired, especially the managers? There's one manager, right?
Yes, there's a manager.
Mr. Ainebiona.
Yes.
How do you hire these people?
Well, we advertised the positions, and people applied, and for manager level, they are subjected to interviews by the board.
How many people applied?
2 people applied.
2 people applied?
You see, we are not able to attract people because of the length of our contracts. Sometimes we give 1-year contracts, but even in the worst case scenario, 8 months. Now, a person at managerial level, especially manager IT level, to attract that caliber of people, they are already settled in some positions. It's not easy, especially people when they look at the length of contracts that you're giving them, they do not respond to your adverts. So we had 2 people, and those are the ones that we interviewed.
Where did you advertise?
Sorry?
Where did you advertise?
We advertised on our website. We sent to our adverts to professional bodies, ISACA. That's the professional body that regulates, ISACA Kampala chapter. That's the one that is in charge of IT professionals.
The casinos and gambling. And virtually most of the states in the US, including Florida as it is, does not allow this kind of business. But our people are really vulnerable, the young ones. Now we just want to, before you leave, to give us a list of competent people to operate, and also operating is money, then owning, specifically the characters of directors and staff. Because I know elsewhere 30% is supposed to go to investors and 70% to the population. Here I think it is the reverse. But you see, it's a sophisticated business, Honorable Chair. It's not an ordinary business where we are selling apples. So now I want to see, do you have people in place who can now go out and look at those machines and say they are not cheating? Instead of people just gambling and say, I'm supporting the white horse, and then the black horse, you don't know who is controlling it, you don't know whether the machine is compliant, and that has come from your staff. So at this level. Then the characters of even the people, how do you dig out the intelligence to know that this is not an ordinary investor? because can end up to be money laundering and extortion. Eh? No, okay. But now at this stage about the staffing levels, not just the numbers, but competence.
Yes, response?
Called Gaming Labs International from South Africa.
Honorable Chair, that one is supplying machines here.
Honorable, that is a testing laboratory. It has no business with supplying machines. GLI, Gaming Labs International.
Okay, we understand there's also an upcoming national lottery. Yeah. Talk to us about that. Who is going to conduct it? How are they procured? But also on the backdrop of we still have not yet sorted out issues of standards that we have as of now. And now there's a mega national lottery. You people remember Premier Lottery, JADA, and all of those different things, yeah? So there's another mega one that's coming up. And that particular one made some people very rich. Now we are having challenges with standards, and there's another mega lottery that's coming up. Talk to us about it.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. The law defines the national lottery as a lottery conducted by or on behalf of the minister responsible for finance with a view of raising funds for a purpose defined by the minister. In November 2021, December 2021, we advertised a call for applications to conduct a national lottery. And
said November 2021.
December 2021. I'll check the very date from the extracts of the newspapers where we did the advertisement. And we received applications from about 5 applicants who we have been in the process of evaluation. And first was the submission of the call, the proposal, and then after we asked them to submit their financial and technical proposal, we've carried out an evaluation, and we have identified an operator who is to fulfill certain last requirements, and before the minister signs the license for them to conduct the national lottery. So there has been quite a process from December 2021, and we can avail the process of what we went through in identifying that national lottery operator.
We would want to see that procurement file. Huh? The entire procurement file. We want to see how you people eventually zero down to this particular operator. And we are interested in knowing how it's going to happen, because there's already a challenge that one would think that we first deal with the challenge that we have at stake before we move on to something bigger. But here we are. Let's see how we quickly deal with this. There was a complaint about failure to prepare regulations. That's 4.1. We had handled earlier on failure to prepare a national register. That one is not in place.
Thank you, Chair. We did draft regulations together with the Ministry of Finance, and we forwarded them to the Ministry for review and onward submission to the Ministry of Justice for legislative drafting. So we forwarded 6 sets, 2 amendments, and 4 were new. We also have gone ahead to draft guidelines for complaints handling, and we are liaising also with the Ministry of Finance to fast track this so that we have the necessary regulations in place. We have in this file brought copies of the draft regulations, and we do hope that these will be done away with by the end of this quarter. This is in Annex G.
Yes, Honorable Sibami.
Yes, Honorable Chair, this is quite disappointing because you cannot, this kind of industry is really very sensitive. It's really sensitive. We're not getting actual goods. It's a service bordering to exploiting the vulnerable and naive people. You understand the kind of people you are dealing with. So if you are talking about drafting regulations and submitting, I think we should either get timelines or it is a serious matter. How do you operate? Because guidelines per se, out of guidelines, you cannot sue an operator. So personally, I'm really concerned because this is the area where I went for my master's. And I know it's really not so simple as you take it, sir. And I was happy that the chair realized that we should handle this matter. Most people thought, we should look at URA, we should look at civil aviation. But you see young men park their motorcycles from morning out of naivety, say, "Nsibide ku black, nsibide ku white." How do you really go to gamble over a horse which you have no control? So the control has to be with you in guidelines, because you're not the one who brought that TV set, you're not the one who put the horse inside the TV set, and the Indian or Chinese is changing. So really, there must be guidelines. And when you say we've submitted the sets, now tell us what are the operational regulations for the time being, as the Solicitor General is taking his time to come up with this. I think, sir, Honorable Chair, these people should have come here with rules and regulations. It is really not irregular, but very unfair. We don't want to hear about your billions collected from the vulnerable. We need, first of all, protection so that you can go and invest money in lucrative things than people coming here with the TV sets and exploiting the vulnerable because they have no protection.
Yes, Honorable Mwada.
And Chair, this being a recall that in performance indicators, you could not even ascertain what you could handle. Two regulations for disposal of unclaimed prizes. Now, the question is, for someone who wins and the prizes are not claimed, who takes the money? Maybe you. Maybe someone under you or behind you. So it might be intentional. The third regulation is quoted by the Auditor General, regulations for appointment and use of agents by persons licensed to conduct lottery, and for regulations for regulating the holding of a draw for a lottery. Now you're advertising a national lottery when actually you don't have equal regulations. But the Chair, I also wish to submit that this, particularly for regulations, we must summon the minister, because the law provides that it's the minister's duty on advice and recommendation by the board. Now, and it's the minister to take charge of these regulations. Yours is advisory. Equally, when we hear that that we need proof from these people that they have provided advice to the minister, because when we look at the neighboring law, it requires the minister actually to take charge of these regulations. We need to show us proof that you have offered guidance and advice to the minister, you as a board. Then, Chair, I pray that we also summon the minister to account for failure to have these regulations and where he takes the money won and not claimed.
Yes, Honorable Itungo.
Chair, I want you to go to page 18 on their response on that particular matter, Chair. According to the response, there is a paragraph. They are saying that the accounting officer further explained that the draft of the proposed regulations and guidelines have been developed and awaiting board approval. So I want to know, one, whether the draft is there, two, whether the board has approved between then and now, what is happening, because it is on your side that the board is waiting and the board should be coming here. Where are you and what is happening?
Thank you, Honorable. I request Head Legal to give a background so that you understand which regulations are in place, which registrations have been drafted, and those that are pending board approval, so that we have a better understanding on this.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Honorable Nsibambi. We have 5 sets of regulations in force. We have the lotteries and gaming fees.
Meant to address what?
The register is in place. It was missing some parameters that we are now working on with the guidance received last financial year from the Accountant General. Honorable Chair, on the business continuity and disaster recovery issue, Honorable Chair, all systems we have developed as the gaming board are being hosted at the National Data Center that is manned by NITAU. And they have in place a business continuity policy and a disaster recovery site, I think in Jinja. So we are leveraging on a government facility that is already in place. For the local area network systems that we host internally, this concluded financial year, we implemented an automatic backup system that we are going to link to the National Data Center to again leverage on the NITAU established disaster recovery site and their business continuity. However, on our side, as the board, now that we have the IT manager on board, this is something we had started working on with NITAU, and it's going to be concluded. But for achieving business continuity, we are working with NITAU, leveraging on their facilities. On the steering committee chair, Honorable Chair, the substantive IT manager was recruited in order to have the IT issues at top management, which was still the case. And the IT governance is part of the mandate of the Finance and Administration Committee of the board, and we will avail the TORs of the committee, indicating that that is one of the functions that they undertake. I beg to submit, Chair.
Any follow-up question?
We just want you to enlighten us about casinos. One, the proprietorship. Most of the casinos are manned by, not racist, but by Chinese. And you know that element of casinos and international financial crime. So we may want to get a list of the casinos licensed, and did you do any due diligence on the proprietorship? Because there's a very big connection of casinos and forex bureaus to do with money laundering. Then the nature of business going on. After giving out licenses, do you go out to audit these people on a monthly basis? Because it has issues of revenue, it has also issues of capital flight and no standards and standards as well. Then the people going there and working hours. Of course, this is a liberal economy. You can work 24 hours, but matters to do with gaming are also addictive. It can influence society. You may find a great percentage of the population hooked to what Honorable Itungo talked about as he was about to score. The ball was missing from the screen. Ultimately, the referee was saying there was no what? 3 million gone. Then you saw, in terms of regulation, how do you go to
ED and your team? I just have 2 questions for you. The first question, do you gamble or you don't gamble as individuals? That's number 1. Number 2, from the analysis and our discussion, and the challenges we have seen here, would you advise somebody to do gambling in Uganda?
Finally, Honorable Mwada.
I have a procedure matter.
Thank you. 138 IT assets, that's 100%, inspected, were not accurately recorded in the format prescribed. But when on page 20, Chair, and I'm sensing conflict of interest from the CEO, or incompetence, or something deliberately done. Because the Auditor General is quoting on absence of ICT steering and governance structures. The Auditor General is saying that audit noted that the acting CEO, and I hope they meant you, the acting CEO, who was a substantive manager IT, is in a position to represent IT views in top management. But I would quickly ask, why didn't you? Because the Auditor General is bringing this in picture. You acting CEO, you were once for IT manager, but you have not addressed these governance structures and gaps. And thus, there is no accurate recording, so which speaks to inaccuracies in ICT. How can we be certain that you as a board are not also just gambling with the fake instruments and machines, and you are coming up with the wrong data? But as well, speak to the fact that you are the IT manager, you are equipped with all this, but you have failed to handle, even when you are the acting CEO.
Okay, let's get quick responses.
From the equipment that the entity moved with from finance to the gaming board, where some parameters, especially like cost, were missing. So it is a few parameters that were missing that we did not have. And like I said, with the guidance from the Accountant General that we received last financial year on how to treat those items where we don't have those particulars, is being worked on. But all the ICT equipment is registered. So we were not gambling with this register, Honorable.
Okay, there are questions raised on the other end. You didn't hear them?
We had them.
Honorable Itungo and Honorable Siwam.
I'd like to begin with Honorable Itungo. Yes, we gamble, but we gamble to test, to understand how the games are working, for our understanding on how best to regulate. But like it's a norm for us, every time I have an opportunity like I have, I want to give you some responsible gaming messages that gambling is addictive and can be psychologically harmful. If you gamble, please gamble responsibly. You must know when to stop. You must know when to put in. You must know when to pull out. So yes, Honorable, like they said, if you gamble, please gamble responsibly. And in case you need any help, please, you can reach out to us. We have partnered with some...
What does responsible gambling even mean? I'm trying to wrap my head around that.
Honorable Chair, responsible gaming, it's a set of social initiatives that the industry comes up with to ensure that we avoid what we call problem gambling, which is basically being addictive to these games. These games are highly addictive, and I want to inform honorable members that gambling starts at a very early age. And I'll give you an example. We might all have children here. Give your 10, 15-year-old a phone. You'll find them playing Candy Crush, winning points, and getting excited. Those are the very games that these people again offer, this time offering winning money. So it is something that we as a country have to wake up and speak about. That's why in my prayer, Honorable, I requested that this committee, you become our responsible gaming ambassadors, and given an opportunity, we will have a session where we are not being grilled, but where we are also teaching you about responsible gaming, so that in your constituencies, when you are campaigning and engaging your people, you are able to offer responsible gaming messages.
Mr. Chairman.
You have a PR budget, right? You're meant to be making use of that.
To respond to you, Honorable Abdallah, we have targeted groups that we have been sensitizing, especially students in higher institutions of learning. And
please continue.
Sorry, Honorable was asking a question I didn't. Thank you, Honorable Chair. On the list of casinos, I like to mention something, Honorable Swambi, and I'll request the head legal to complement. I think why we have more foreigners than Ugandans in the casinos is also on the minimum capital requirements for you to start a casino. Minimum capital requirement for a casino is 1 billion.
Right there, why don't you just put minimum capital requirements for the locals as low as for them to afford? Why should you regulate in such a way that only the foreigners can afford?
Okay, let's let him respond.
Honorable, you need to understand the risk involved in this gaming industry. Why a casino has 1 billion and slot machines has 500. It also relates to the amount of money that moves in the casino compared to what is with slot machines. I'd like to request my head legal to tackle the due diligence and the inspection challenge. Maybe to respond to you, Honorable Sibambi, yes, the issue of staffing is a big problem. For example, in Kenya, each casino has a dedicated inspector. If they are working 24 hours, you have an inspector working during the day, you have an inspector working in the night. Yes, now here we have a big challenge because we have 7 at the moment compliance officers who do the inspection as well. And we have about 20 licensed casinos, but they don't only inspect casinos, they inspect sports betting, they inspect slot machines, they inspect casinos. So the issue of staffing is a big problem that we need support on recommending funding, but most important, retaining this entity as an independent regulator and beefing it up, given the challenges in this industry. Some people have a school of thought that why not ban this industry? That is extremely dangerous. The moment you do that, it goes underground, and the problems are dire. Thank you, Honorable. Let me request head legal.
Okay, let's first hear from head legal, and then we see if there's any outlier.
As well as Interpol clearances. Now, if any are foreigners, we also verify with Interpol. We write to Interpol for verification. We also have access to the database for Interpol, for the Ugandan database, and so we verify against that. And recently, the Companies Act was amended to provide for beneficial ownership. One member had alluded that what if someone is holding fort? So this will also enable us to understand who exactly is behind. Is it a Ugandan or a foreigner? Then with respect to money laundering, we also require the casinos to register with FIA as accountable persons. We require them to appoint a money laundering control officer. We also have an MOU with FIA where we work closely to sensitize them, to do outreach programs for them to understand their obligations under the law. We require them to undertake independent audits on money laundering, financing terrorism, and the rest. And you also note that the recent amendments in the 2023 regulations of anti-money laundering also have increased the fines, have also given us as supervisory bodies the right to also supervise them for anti-money laundering, as well as issue administrative sanctions. So we are doing this together with FIA and being vigilant But one of the challenges, like we've pointed out, we are really few on ground. You cannot regulate 20 casinos, and we have 7 inspectors who are dealing with also national lottery, any other lottery. Then we also have gaming, which are also widespread. Thank you very much. I will also submit.
Okay, let's make those very quick. We need to finish in the next 3 minutes. Honorable Itungo, Zamal, and then Chidia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, what I was asking, as we speak now, there are young people who are busy gambling and drinking at this time. So one, it is very dangerous. Number two, in terms of crime, I don't know whether you are aware that there is a lot of crime happening because of those gambling and drinking, and even the drug abusers, because they are almost in the same area. So when you are inspecting, do you consider the environment, or whoever comes and wants a license, you give a license? And why near bars or almost inside bars? Because even if you go to casinos, as you are gambling, something is happening on the counter. The same what Honorable Swamba was saying. As you are getting out of the casino, you'll find the Forex Bureau there, where you can change money and go back and gamble. So are you mindful about the environment when you are inspecting and licensing these places?
Yes, Honorable Swamba. Some are near schools, hospitals, all of which is not allowable. Yes, Honorable Swamala.
Yeah, I would want to understand what they are inspecting, because as we cleared it earlier, the software that they are using is only tested at a time when the machine is being manufactured. When it comes here, let me tell you what happens. People are in a control room deciding on who is winning and who is failing. And you cannot tell me that the 7 inspectors are not known. These are the same people that have been there forever. They know them. They know they are coming at this time. They can work around with them to see how to manipulate the software at any one time. So you cannot say that the 7 people that have been there for the past I don't know how long are the ones that are inspecting these gamblers who have 1 billion in capital. You understand? And you have already said very clearly that your standards, the standards of these machines, and I don't want you to argue, it is from your word. You said the standards of these machines are not checked.
Honorable Kiria.
So before that, I want the money laundering bit to be taken as a big issue, Chair. Actually, it is the biggest issue that is with the casinos. Most of the people, actually, I know quite a number of people that are cleaning their money through casinos. All they do is to go to the casino, gamble, the money is banked as income from the casino, and then it is transferred out of the country.
Honorable, next time we are going to have you as a witness, because
yeah,
we need that witness account.
No problem.
So that we go after all those criminals.
Yes.
But can you finish so that?
Yeah. Finally, I stick on the issue of minimum capital.
Okay. Honorable Kidia.
For locals.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I will first inform you as a committee and our witness that on 22nd last month in Chibuye, they brought before me 10 children below 15 years. They had a group where they splitted into 4 groups, subgroups, stealing the parents' money to go and play these games.
So they brought them to you as police, as what? Are you
as area member
undercover?
Area MP.
Of Chibuye?
Yes, Chibuye. No.
But Chibuye is not your area.
Chibuye in Nakasongola, there is another Chibuye landing site in Nakasongola.
Okay, so yes, let's hear the point, Honorable, as we wrap up.
Chair, even in Nakasongola there is Kamocha, so.
So, even one parent nearly committed suicide because of the child being unmanageable, stealing the money every day for these games. I want to ask the CEO, in your own opinion, as we
invite them to come tomorrow, they will obviously complain of short notice and will have challenges having to adjourn and so on. So we'll give them tomorrow to make sure they come on Thursday. But tomorrow, avail all the documents you have asked for to our secretariat, because we'll need it in our discussion on Thursday. Okay, so we have adjourned to Thursday. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much.
Maybe what you didn't mention, the time on Thursday.
10 a.m.
Thank you, Chair and members.
My lecture. How are you?
Nenga kati abantu bali batya. Oleko wano kkiriza.